I want to ask you about Ricky Pearsall because, and I don't know to what degree it's comparable, but you were in a very serious car accident your rookie year. I hope you don't mind me asking about it.
No.
But you got hit. You and your wife got hit head on by a drunk driver driving the wrong direction.
Yes.
And it cost you your rookie season with the Steelers, which people realize. And Ricky got shot. I mean, he's laying there on the street in San Francisco thinking he might die. And amazingly, he was able to come back and play last year and finish the year strong. But did you think when you saw that situation unfolding, did it remind you in any way of what you went through?
It did, and obviously I wasn't shot. That was a little bit more serious than my car accident, although it was frightening at the time, the car accident. But getting shot and thinking, gosh, the young guy's career could be taken away before it even started. But he was diligent, and what people don't realize is he had to put in the work the whole time he was recovering, because when he first came back and he wasn't making much of an impact, but he was great that he was out there. I was like, wow, fantastic. But his last couple games, you could kind of tell it started to click for him. And his route running was more precise. He was sharp in and out of cuts, catching the ball, gaining confidence. And it was like, wow, that was super impressive just to know that he finished the year strong. And I mean, that can really catapult a guy with that confidence and with that, even minimal success into the off season and into the season coming up. And I'm glad you brought up his name, because I kind of look for him to really be a big contributor this year. And so what a special young man to be able to fight back from all that, because I mean, you don't even, at the time you're like not even worried about football. Like, hey man, I hope he's going to be okay. That's remarkable that even happened. But then just to be fortunate enough to not have it, have any lasting effect on his body, and to be able to come back and play was remarkable in and of itself. But to actually see it click for him really kind of made it special at the end of the year.
It almost, it feels weird, right, to ask about like a guy's, you had this near-death experience.
Yeah.
But how does it affect your, but it's the whole person, right? Like the whole person had to then try and worry about, you had an injury, your wife had your girlfriend, were you guys married yet?
Yeah, we were engaged.
You're engaged. And then you get cut by the Steelers. Like,
it was the worst.
Guys. And then, like, I don't know, you have like, what, 8, 10 combined catches in the next 2 years? Now, you're a fifth round pick, he's a first round, but still there's just a lot going on as you're trying to figure out. And I would imagine the other thing, Brent, is, like, my window is this big to make this thing work.
It's really true. Yeah, you know what, Guy? Those are the toughest times when you don't have an opportunity. Off season is one thing, but anybody can look good in the off season. So you got to do it when it matters. And that, back for me, it was training camp. You had to make a name for yourself in training camp. That meant making catches that you shouldn't be making. That meant not dropping balls. That meant, making some big blocks, even to get on the radar. When you came to a team, we went to camp my first year with the 49ers, I think, with 125 guys. There was no 80 man. So getting reps was a challenge. And then, making the team and hanging on and fighting. And then, Russ Francis and John Frank were ahead of me. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to put in some time and effort and some years, and things just unfolded. And then it's the classic, hey, when you get your opportunity, you better step up and step through that window and make a statement. And so all those things are going through your mind at the time, but it's weird to look back, because it seems like an awful lot of mental preparedness, but you just it's each and every day you needed to, have a good practice in the morning of training camp. And now I got to have a good afternoon practice. Now I got to make sure I know all my assignments. Now, hey, the next day, hey, we've got a preseason game. Hey, if I get in there, I need to, make an impact relative to that. And it's just slow, methodical process, which right now in my mind, I'm like, yeah, how did I even do that? But at the
Yeah.
time, you just were disciplined to do, to do it one step at a time. And then when you get your chance, you roll. And then you kind of feel like, man, I've been rolling for so long. I don't remember those early days. Like,
Yeah.
our offense was so high powered. We would operate on all cylinders a majority of the time. Obviously Joe getting injured, and then the greatest classic moment for Steve, it's like, okay, let's see what you got, and he stepped up, and so and had a Hall of Fame career following one, which is remarkable. There are so many great storylines back in those days, and the bar was set so high for us the whole time I was there, but that made it fun. It made it exciting.
It's funny you mentioned, like, you could have picked, you were a free agent, so you could have picked a few different, you picked,
Yes.
The
Back
biggest
when
mountain
free
to
agent
climb.
was a bad
Yeah.
word. Nowadays, you die to be a free agent.
Yeah, but then it's like, all right, which team? Well, let me go to one of the best teams in the league. Maybe I'll go make that team. That's so it's. But I just want to, if I could, on Ricky, what did you see? What did you see with him as a player that you think is promising?
Well, I actually think his burst is fantastic, and what I really started to see was he started to get separation, and that's the biggest challenge, right? You can be straight ahead, great speed, but if you can't get in and out of your breaks and separate, because those defensive backs are tremendous athletes, you got to get open. Basically, is when people say separation is basically the same thing, but you got to get that distance. And I started seeing him after the first couple of weeks, because it's fun. Hey, he's coming back from being shot. He's going to play in the game. Remarkable. That was a win. If nothing else even happened, I would have said, you know what? God bless you, Ricky. That's spectacular. But then you're like, okay, is he going to be a contributor? I mean, here's our first round pick. Are we going to throw him the ball? And he didn't get a lot of opportunities early on. And then, all of a sudden I was watching him, and it's like, okay, hey, we threw him the ball. Man, that was a good route. And then I'm watching, man, he's getting at that break, and God, look at that. We could have thrown him that ball on the backside. And so you could almost, and I hadn't met Ricky, and I was there for a couple games, but I wasn't there at the end of the season. But you could almost feel the confidence growing in him. And it's like, hey, I can do this. And I know what I need to do to get open, to make catches, to be a playmaker on this team. And so that's why I felt like, gosh, he's going to have this whole offseason. I guarantee he's got confidence. I know he knows what he needs to do to be a successful wide receiver. And, I know everyone's concerned. Brandon's, still coming off his knee. Debo's gone. And so everyone's like, well, what do we got? Well, man, do not sleep on this guy, because I think he's going to be, maybe not the amount of catches, but I think he's going to be Puka Nacua like at some point.